Long ago, in the bustling harbor city of Alexandria, there lived a poor laborer named Marzook. He shared a humble rented house with his devoted wife, Habiba, and their 2 young children. Marzook had no steady trade, so he spent his days seeking whatever work he could find to feed his small family. Sometimes he carried heavy goods from the market or the docks to people's homes. Other times, he cleaned shops or swept houses for a meager wage. Each morning, he rose before dawn, kissed his family goodbye, and ventured out with unwavering hope, searching for a day's labor. Often, he returned with only a few coins or empty-handed, but he never cursed his fate or lost his spirit. Though their life was one of scarcity, Marzook's family found joy in the simplest things.
Tomorrow will be better.
Tomorrow will be better, he would say, with a reassuring smile to Habiba when worry clouded her eyes over their empty pantry. Marzook, despite his own struggles, always extended a helping hand to those even less fortunate, the elderly who could no longer work or the desperate beggars in the streets. His kindness was a light in the shadows of poverty. Marzook always wore a wooden bowl on his head, wrapped with a turban cloth in such a skillful way that it held firmly and would not easily fall off. It shielded him from the sun during his long days, served to carry food home when fortune smiled, held water for a quick drink on hot afternoons, and even acted as a makeshift seat when he rested in the shade. The bowl was simple and cheap, but it bore nice carvings that gave it quiet beauty. The house Marzook rented belonged to Shadid, a greedy and wealthy landlord who owned several homes across the city.
Go away, you worthless beggar!
Shadid was arrogant to the poor, never offering mercy or aid. Marzook had seen him evict families from neighboring houses for unpaid rent, leaving them on the street without a second thought. Shadid treated tenants like burdens, demanding payments with threats and scorn. 1 month later, when the rent was due, Marzook had no money.
The rent is due today. Where is my money?
I'm sorry, I don't have it yet. Work has been slow.
This is not my problem. I want my money.
Could you please give me 1 more month? I'll pay everything then.
1 more month?
Yes, please, Mr. Shadid.
Fine. But if it's not paid by then, you and your family will be out on the street.
Thank you, Mr. Shadid.
Don't worry. Tomorrow will be better.
2 days later, while Marzook was searching for work as usual at the harbor, a ship owner approached him and offered a 1-week job cleaning the ship during the voyage with fair pay that would cover the rent. Marzook accepted eagerly and hurried home to tell his family he would be away for a week. He then hurried back to the harbor to board as the ship was about to sail. As it pulled away from the dock, Marzook gazed back at the fading shoreline, his heart heavy but hopeful. the first day, everything went smoothly. Marzook worked happily, filled with renewed hope and optimism. But on the second day, a fierce storm struck without warning. The ship splintered apart in the raging waves. As Marzook lay exhausted on the warm sand, the wooden bowl that had been his constant companion proved to be his salvation. Made of sturdy wood, it never sank beneath the waves. Through the long, terrifying night, he clung to it with all his strength, keeping his head above water until the currents carried him safely to this unknown shore. Gathering what little strength remained, Marzook decided to discover if anyone else inhabited the island.
Hello? Anybody here? Hello? Anybody here?
Marzook's desperate cry echoed across the island. Moments later, terrifying shouts answered from the jungle, deep, fierce voices that sent a chill through him. In mere seconds, the tribesmen burst from the trees, surrounding him with spears raised. They swiftly led him to the tribe's chief, who began speaking in a language Marzook could not understand.
I am sorry, sir. I don't understand.
Gozo.
The chief is asking, why did you come here?
Marzook, his voice steady despite his fear, began to recount the terrible fate of the ship, how a sudden storm had torn it apart, how the waves had claimed the lives of all aboard, and how he alone had survived by swimming for endless hours through the dark night until he finally reached this distant shore. As Marzook spoke, Gozo stood close to the chief, translating every word in their own tongue, his expression serious and attentive. Throughout Marzook's tale, the chief's gaze drifted upward, fixing with growing fascination on the carved wooden bowl atop Marzook's turban. Once Marzook finished his tale, the chief raised a hand and, through Gozo, asked to see the bowl.
The chief wants to see your bowl. Please show it to him. This is for you, sir.
Toko Naana!
Joy lit the chief's face. He placed the bowl upon his own head, and a triumphant cry rose from his lips. Toko Naana, the crown of the island.
The chief has declared you a welcome guest. You will live here in peace, safe among us. Oh, how come you speak my language?
Gozo smiled gently and explained that a year earlier, an explorer from distant lands had washed ashore in a small boat. The man had lived among them for 10 months, teaching Gozo the foreign tongue before passing away peacefully. He had left his boat behind, unused by the tribe.
He left a boat?
Yes, he did.
A spark of hope ignited in Marzouk's heart when he learned of the explorer's boat. He turned to Gozo with earnest eyes and asked if the chief might allow him to take the boat and sail home. Gozo nodded slowly, his expression serious yet kind. He promised to ask the chief that night during the celebration of the new crown. As night fell over the island, the tribe erupted in joyous celebration. The chief sat proudly upon his wooden throne at the heart of the gathering, the bowl placed reverently upon his head like a royal crown. Beside him sat Marzouk, the honored guest who had brought this miracle. As promised, Gozo leaned in and quietly conveyed Marzouk's heartfelt request to the chief that he might be allowed to take the explorer's boat and attempt the long voyage home to his family. The chief listened in silence, his gaze steady and thoughtful. After a moment's pause, he nodded with gracious approval, granting Marzouk permission to sail away in search of his loved ones. In 1 week, with the tribe's help, the boat was fully prepared for Marzouk's long voyage. They loaded the boat with abundant supplies of fresh food and water. The chief, deeply moved by the precious crown Marzouk had brought, decided to honor him with a generous gift, a large box filled with gleaming gold. Though the voyage back to Alexandria was long and perilous, battling fierce winds and treacherous currents, Marzouk's determination and the sturdy little boat carried him safely home at last. Marzouk slipped quietly into his humble home, woke Habiba, and recounted his astonishing adventure. When she saw the box and realized the immense amount of gold within it, her eyes widened in joyful disbelief. Their years of hardship were over, and the family was now wealthy beyond imagination. The next morning, Marzouk took only a small piece of the gold, just enough to settle his debts, and went to Shadid. He offered it as payment for the long overdue rent, adding that he would leave the house in a month as he planned to buy one of his own. Shadid stared at the gleaming nugget in stunned silence. Its value far exceeded anything Marzouk had ever owed.
Where did you get this?
Marzouk, ever kind and trusting, told him everything: the shipwreck, the unknown island, the tribe, and how his simple wooden bowl had become their sacred crown in exchange for the treasure. Shadid listened intently, his mind already racing. If a mere bowl had earned Marzouk such riches, what greater reward might the chief bestow on someone who brought gifts truly useful to the entire tribe? Secretly, he resolved to find the island himself. Shadid sold all his properties and used the money to buy things the tribe desperately needed: warm clothes to shield them from winter chill, thick blankets and quilts for sleeping, waterproof fabric to protect them against rain, and fine mosquito nets to guard against insects at night. he purchased enough for every man, woman, and child on the island. Having sold everything he owned to buy the gifts, Shadid used his last remaining money to hire a large ship and full crew. He loaded the precious cargo aboard and set sail, following the innocent directions Marzouk had shared. Upon reaching the island, Shadid was greeted by the chief and Gozo. They marveled at the practical treasures Shadid had brought, gifts that would change their lives forever. Through Gozo, the chief declared that Shadid had given them the greatest offering any outsider ever had, something that would ease suffering and bring comfort to all his people. In return, the chief decided to grant Shadid the most valuable and holy treasure they possessed on the island,